Sherrie, there's a lot said about becoming an attraction agent, but to become an attraction agent, that requires a lot of profile marketing.
Yes, no, I agree. And I think as much as everyone wants to be an attraction agent, the reality is that you actually need to get there first. So I think, the first thing you need to do is actually just build up that, I guess, that profile by hard work and by creating, raving mad fans. And then once you've got raving mad fans and they start to give you referrals and then it all starts to come together, and then you start to make money so that you can actually, post on the internet and those sorts of things.
So is it like building blocks? You just start with one, you make the best thing, you do the best you can with that, then you build on it?
Yes, and I think people look at, what they want to do in a year. I don't look at it that way. I'm actually very focused on 3 months, and I use each individual property, I guess, as you talk about, as a block to actually get to the next step, to get to the next step, to get to the next step. So it is very, very specific.
You work in an office that's got some pretty high-profile operators. In fact, some of the best high-profile operators in Brisbane or Queensland, maybe even Australia. Who knows? But how do you stand out in that environment? Why would someone come to your office and list with you?
Yeah, you are right. I do work in a remarkable office, and if I may, that's probably one of the reasons why I want to work there, because I actually want to be in an environment where people want to be the best at their craft, and we all want to have that high-performance mentality. I am truly blessed to work in that environment, but I suppose at the end of the day, if I'm coming up against somebody else high profile in my office, quite often what we'll do, rather than fight each other for it, we'll actually just join forces and we'll go for it ourselves. So I think our office has a very different atmosphere to most other real estate agencies, where we're not actually fighting each other, we actually do genuinely want the best for each other.
Sherrie, how important has social media been to you in building your profile?
Well, that's really been a foundation, I suppose, to my business. So I get at least a lead a day from Facebook. Now, some of them may not be my preferred leads, but the reality is that if I'm not able to work it, I might be able to refer it to somebody else in my office or another agency. So I think it is absolutely fantastic. Yeah,
and of course video's given us that opportunity to actually show a lot more personality in what we do. Do you use that in your communication?
Yeah, look, I do. I love video, and I do see the relevance, and I do very strongly believe in video. So as soon as I list a property, I literally do the 30-second, hold my phone up or my iPad up. And it's really funny, people love those videos. The professional ones, I always get a couple of likes, but I get lots of shares for these 30-second videos that I do. And it's really funny, I literally stand up there, I do one take, and I'm back in the car and I'm kind of running off.
Sure.
But the amount of people that might call me up and say, oh, Sherrie, I don't know if you realise, but you said "and" there a few times, or so people are actually really watching,
critiquing you.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's kind of great. But I'll run into somebody in the street and they'll sort of say to me, "Hi Sherrie, how you going?" I'm like, "Great, I haven't seen you in ages." And they say, "Well, I feel like I see you all the time because I watch your videos." So I know that they're actually being used. One of the property that I sold earlier this year, the video was actually shared and I got an offer from somebody else's database, I suppose, on Facebook, which is powerful.
You use video also for seller feedback, don't you?
Yes, I do. So as soon as I finish an open home, I do send a video to my buyers, but I also do send one to sellers as well, because then I'm in the car, they're dying to find out what happened at the open home, and I don't necessarily have a moment to give them a call at that time. Sometimes, I might need to call somebody hot back from an open home 1 or 2 before, but they know that I'm going to get back to them that day, but they've got an immediate response ready to go.
Those videos you do for buyers who come to open homes, are they done for every individual buyer?
Not every buyer, but obviously if somebody has come to a few of my open homes that day, they will actually be more specific, because it's clear that they're a qualified buyer who's ready to go now.
And what do you say to them?
I just generally thank them for their time and for coming through, and see if they have any further interest to give me a call, and letting them know when I'm going to be in contact furthermore.
Have you got a script for that, or is that just done off the cuff?
Well, we do it a lot, so I guess we've kind of become a little bit programmed, but no, it's done off the cuff.
Hello once again and welcome. I hope you didn't get stung for April Fool's Day. We'll talk more about that with Geoff, but more seriously, in today's show, Geoff is going to report that auction results are firm on higher volumes. Back in just a moment.
The real estate business is tough, and rising costs are making it harder to thrive. Did you know you can save up to 70% on your staff costs by outsourcing the low-value, repeatable tasks, so your team can focus on growing your business? Beepo is an outsourcing provider focused on the real estate industry. With an English-speaking, tertiary qualified and fully trained team in the Philippines, Beepo will give your business the boost it needs to start growing and returning value to you. We can look after all of your low-value, repetitive administration work from our fully secure office. We provide comprehensive real estate-focused training and accreditation. The Beepo team is supervised by on-site management with finance industry standard security features. For more information, visit beepo.com.au.
And joining me once again is my co-host, Geoff White from CoreLogic. You didn't get stung on April Fool's Day this morning, did you, by any chance?
All good. So far, so good, but you've just mentioned it, so yes.
Yeah. I think you passed the danger point. Isn't it up until 11 o'clock you can get stung? After that, you're gone.
I think you're right. Yeah, no, I'm okay, Kevin. Thanks for your concern. Thanks,
I'm pleased about that. Hey, Geoff, you're reporting this week, and we'll get into the numbers in just a moment, but strong signs that that gap between the buyer and seller pricing expectations is becoming a little bit more balanced.
Yes, that's right. And we're seeing the results with the clearance rates, which is very promising this week.
Well, let's have a look at those.
Good week, yeah.
Yeah, we'll bring those clearance rates up for you now. Sydney 65.9. Gee, that's pretty good, Geoff.
Yes, I think we were saying, Kevin, that we're a bit surprised with last week. It had plateaued a little bit in Sydney, but this is very classic of what happens at this time of when you're going through these market cycles, and it can be up and down a little bit. But Sydney this week, very strong with 65.9 from 789 auctions. So that is by far the leader around the country in terms of clearance rate. So great result for Sydney there, and it'll be just interesting to see whether it can be maintained, although these are preliminary numbers and likely to come down a bit by the final, yes.
Yeah, well, it makes me a little bit scared about what might happen in Melbourne then with a clearance rate preliminary of 53.4%. Is that likely to dip under 50, do you think?
I think it might go close. We've got a fair number of auctions in,
yes.
And yet the dip doesn't tend to be as much in Melbourne as what it is in Sydney. So it should hold its own, I think, with a 5 in front of it. So 53.4 from 991 auctions this week. And, that's still pretty good given the circumstances and the higher volumes. We commented on Brisbane, I think, last week, Kevin, and on the preliminary numbers, off a good number of auctions, although we've still got a few more to collect the results in. 191 auctions conducted, and so far the preliminary is 42.9.
Yeah,
so
that's good, isn't it?
If that can maintain in the 40s, that would be good, but it might dip a bit under 40 by final numbers.
But even if it does, Geoff, it's still a quite a good result, I would think, for
Correct.
Brisbane. Yeah,
that's right, exactly right. Yeah,
and
Adelaide
holding
doing
up nicely.
Well.
Yeah,
58.2 preliminary off 103 auctions. We've been saying that's a steady performing city, and those numbers show it. We've also got Perth, very low numbers there, so of auctions conducted 21, but with a 5 in front of it. Haven't seen that for a long time.
No, exactly right.
Yeah, 50%.
Yeah, just getting back to Adelaide, those results are good out of Adelaide. And, once again, we talk about the quality of homes there, and we will get to it before the end of the show. But the sale out of Adelaide, just an absolutely sensational home. And we'll talk about that later,
Yeah. And lastly, Canberra, again, that seems to be up and down a little bit at the moment, and come down this week with 33.3 off 57 auctions. So we'll see what happens with that over the next couple of weeks as well. Yeah,
just looking back at last year out of Canberra, very low numbers, about half what we had this last week. But look at the clearance rate comparison.
Yes, that's right. It's a long time, isn't it? And there's a big difference. It's interesting looking at whilst we had a different weekend last year, I think this was the Easter, leading up to Easter or just after or something last year. But, Sydney's almost on par with last year, except for a few percent. Melbourne's down, Brisbane's up, Adelaide's up, so
it's all over the place, isn't it?
It is all over the place. That's right, exactly.
Well, let's take a deeper focus into the Sydney regions. Walk us through that one, Geoff. City and inner south, 67%, even eastern suburbs, 76%.
Yeah, that's right. We saw last week with the finals, not many, the 70s, and we didn't see an 80, of course, but on the preliminary numbers this week, we're starting to see those numbers that we did see in weeks prior. So the city in and south, as you say, 67.3 off 83. Eastern suburbs, I think that's probably the standout because of if you balance the volume of auctions, 131 versus 76%. I think that's a great result for eastern suburbs. So good for the customers in that area. In a west, 80 off 56. So that's the highest or second highest clearance rate in the sub-region. And going down to the highest being Ryde at 86.2 off 44 auctions. So a reasonable number of auctions, but gee, that's a very good clearance rate. Yeah,
it's almost a perfect clearance rate, you know, really. I mean, once you're getting around 90%, you're looking at an absolutely classic auction market, really.
That's right. Exactly. You really are. And you know, if you were thinking of selling in Ryde at the moment, you'd have to be considering the auction method of marketing. Yeah, that's right. So good result, right?
Okay, well, let's take you to the top sale out of Sydney. Wow, this is a top sale in Strathfield, 7 Wallace Avenue, 4,250,000. George Ellis and Co. Joseph and Sam Georges selling this one. 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom, 3-car on 1,000. On 120. Oh yeah, 1,000. That's a big block of land. 1,214 square metres, Geoff.
Yeah, that is a good size allotment. No doubt was one of the major reasons for the good price here. And I like the fact they put 66 by 200 feet. I can work that out. Yeah, great home. It's interesting. It's got very nice on the outside. A lot of street appeal. But it doesn't actually, until you actually walk through it and see what it offers, it doesn't really. It's deceiving. Let's put it that way. And it's 4-bed, 3-bath, 3-car. Land size very good. Architecturally designed gardens. Got a pool at the back. Over 2 levels. And a very, very nice home, well positioned, and a good result, I'd say. Happy vendor, happy buyer there, because a home that's really stood the test of time and got a lot of modern features in it, but still got the character and charm of the era too, in many ways. Yeah,
and that Strathfield area, reasonably early settled, and you do get good blocks of land out there as well, similar to this one, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. You do, and people, I think, driven by land still. Obviously, the price of real estate's very much in line with the land value, and a lot of modern housing estates, you're lucky to get 500 square metres now. So 1,214 are great for a family, and be a long time owner there, I'm sure, with that property.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, well, let's have a look at Melbourne, the sub-regions there. A lot of 5s in front of some of these figures.
Yeah, it is, and I guess that's what we've been seeing. We've got one in the 60s, and that's the southeast, with 91 auctions, 61.3. So that's good. But yeah, a lot with the 5s, as you say. The big volume areas like inner Melbourne, 201 auctions, 58.1. So that's good. Inner East there at 55.5, holding its own quite well, 135 auctions. And, of course, the inner South area are still over 50 with 52.8 and 164 auctions. So some of those regions are carrying pretty big numbers at the moment. Outer East even bounced back a bit, although the numbers were down on 57 auctions, but 57%, so 57.1. So, yeah, across the board, the only one that really, with a higher volume and low percentage, was the Western area, 119 auctions, 38.7. Again, that's a little bit volatile depending on the type and style of stock that's being auctioned on the day. So, yeah, overall fairly consistent, steady as you go in Melbourne at the moment, and bouncing along around the 50 mark overall.
Yeah, you'd have to say, this is a very uneducated comment, but you're just looking at the numbers, Geoff. The top 5, in that list, the inner east, south east, northeast, and northwest. If you look at those numbers, they're all fairly, all those areas seem to present the same or similar number of auctions. and they all run around about the same sort of success rate. So a lot of it depends on those markets, really, in terms of the success rate and the volumes.
Yeah, if they all,
if they all
holding
kick in,
those volumes,
yep.
yeah, if they all kick in, they all, significantly lift the overall in terms of Melbourne, because that's where most of the auctions are conducted, and they've traditionally been in those areas. So, yeah, it does play a big part in terms of the overall Melbourne result.
Top sale out of Melbourne. Interesting, this one, because we want to try and talk about two today, but the top sale was actually a block of units. This is really a Spanish mission-style block, circa 1925. I'll let you run through the description there, but we're looking at 12 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, 4 cars, so 6 really nice apartments, 3,860,000. It was sold midweek, I think Wednesday, 27th, by Biggin & Scott, Geoff.
Yeah, well done to Claudio Peruzza and Big & Scott team here.
James Burton, I think, too. Yeah.
James Burton as well, that's right. Yeah. This is my old stomping ground in the 80s and 90s. Yeah, so I know this block. It's a very good block. One title, so there's 6 units on one title. And it's 1925 style, very good location, very close to the Blessington Street Gardens and area, and not far from the foreshore. So somebody could retain this as an investment, or potentially down the track maybe subdivide it, subject to council approval. So it's got the potential there, and a great result. And we're not seeing as many whole blocks being offered as we did many years ago. A lot of them have been sold or redeveloped, and this is around the Elwood St Kilda area. There's quite a few of these still around. So well done to Claudio and James at Big & Scott.
And in that Casio video that we're showing now, you can see how well presented the block is. It's been very well maintained. There is potential there, subject to council approval, which you mentioned about splitting them up strata title, because they're all on the one title now.
Correct, that's right. And I think if you can do it, that's probably a good thing to do, and no doubt the buyer will investigate that. Some of these have been long-standing type, long ownership properties, or they've just been rental investments and never gone down that path. But down the track, if you could have 6 beautiful apartments all on separate titles there, and no doubt the buyer will be investigating that, I would have thought, yeah.
Imagine having that one sit in your super scheme. That'd be pretty good, Geoff.
Yeah, just set and forget on that one there, and you'd be right there, Kevin.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to tell you too about the top house sale, top residential sale in Melbourne. It was a 4-bedder, 2-bathroom, 2-car, classic Victorian. Don't show a video on this one, but quite a nice home. 70 Grady Street, Albert Park, 2-street access, sold by Kaiser Real Estate for $3,140,000, Geoff.
Yeah, well done to the Kaiser boys as well. This was a good home, and a very deceiving home. Great inside, and just a smaller home from the street, but offered enormous accommodation. So well done, guys. Yeah.
Coming up soon, a beautiful home in Brisbane, recording top sale. Christina Penrose from Remax in Profile sold this one. We'll show you the details of that in just a moment. Stay with us. Okay, welcome back to the show as we tell you about the top sales in Brisbane and Adelaide, and also give you an update on that rolling average clearance rates around the country. This is the show presented by CoreLogic. Geoff White is my co-host, and this is the only show that in fact gives you a total picture on the full week's auctions, not just the weekend. We will give you the weekend results, but then towards the end of the week, at the end of the week, Friday actually, we give you a full rundown. Hey, Geoff, let's have a look at the top Brisbane sale, 65 Tristania Road at Chapel Hill. Beautiful area, Chapel Hill, $2,250,000. As I said, Christina Penrose from Remax Profile selling this 4-bedroom home.
Yeah, Christina, you've done well here. This is a home that obviously is centred around the size of the allotment there,
yes.
And it's particularly good in that area. One just over a hectare of land, so there's some really good blocks and allotments around that Chapel Hill area, and this is one of them. And it hasn't been offered before for the last 48 years.
Is this first time offered? Is it
first time offered for 48 years?
Wow.
So, but having said that, the house itself, I had to skim through the photos a couple of times really to appreciate it. It's
a classic.
It is a classic. There's been a lot of money spent on this over the years too.
Yeah.
I mean, over that 48-year ownership, and it's was really well presented.
Yes.
Got some really nice features. The timber and some of the features of the era that it was built still,
right.
which is there's nothing wrong with that. But it was all about the land and the trees. It's your own sanctuary almost there, and
and you will notice. Property. Yeah, while I've held those heritage features that you talk about, the beautiful timber panelling, bathrooms, kitchen, they've all been remodeled fairly recently. So, yeah, really good home, this one. Yes,
that's right. So, yeah, good block, great house, and terrific result. And
love that pool. Love that pool.
Yeah, isn't it terrific? Just sitting out there and having a look at that pool. Yeah, I know. It's it probably wouldn't get much use if it was in Melbourne at the moment, but it's up there you do. That's right,
that's
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have a look at the Adelaide sale. And I said right at the opening of the show, this one is an absolutely beautiful home. What surprised me about this one, Geoff, is sale price of $1,300,000. We say it week after week just how much value there is in the Adelaide market. 33 Chelmsford Avenue at Millswood, Century 21, C21 Central. Adam and Zach selling this one, a 4-bedroom home.
Yeah, again, it's very deceiving. The main photo shows the style clearly, as I said, a Spanish mission style home, but absolutely fantastic inside and on a corner block. So utilising that, and it has car accommodation from the side there. So you've got that 3-car garage, 2 bathrooms, 4 bedrooms, and it's just gorgeous to go through the photos. The floors, the kitchen, everything's been done. It's got the LED lighting still. It's got timber panelling. It's got, I skimmed through this several times and thought, gee, this is the sort of house you'd see in one of the premium areas in Sydney or Melbourne, and you'd probably be paying 3 or 4 times the price. So
how often have we said that, Geoff? Gee.
Yeah, that's incredible. Right. Exactly. A very nice home, and on a good size allotment as well. It had 970 square metres. The house was about 300 square metres, so a lot of land around it, and terrific result, guys. And well done.
Yep, good on you, Adam and Zach. Let's take you now to our final slide in this show, and that is the weekly clearance rate, the combined capital cities, and another nice little tick up in that week. The weekly clearance rate, which is going to drag that 4-week average up again at the end of the week, I would think. Yeah,
if that thin line is anything to go by, it's certainly heading north and direct north almost. So I think we've got to be very careful not to get carried away here and expect this to continue, week after week. I think it's getting to a point where it probably will see some sort of level. There's still growth in the clearance rates, obviously between 50 and 60%, and that might be where it hovers over the course of the year, somewhere in between there, even if it does rise a bit further. But having said that, we've come a long way in 3 or 4 months, and that's the pleasing thing in terms of the market. And I'm hearing more and more that buyers have got a lot more confidence to go out there and put their hand up, knowing that the market is probably at or near its bottom. Although some of the statistics will show that the market has declined, and it probably will over the course of March, which our results will come out next week. And but having said that, while there's opportunities there, buyers are out and buying, and good on them.
We've got to remember too. This graph is actually showing us the clearance rates, and as properties do probably adjust a little bit in value, we're going to find them become a lot more popular. We might likely see these clearance rates continue to grow. You've got a much better handle on this than I have, Geoff. But gee, if you look at those results, we're almost back to where we were this time last year.
Yeah, I think looking at it, the weighted average that we're seeing at the moment is probably September. We started to see it really come off last year, and we've sort of crawled back to at least that that period of time. The auction market is very much an indicator of what the market's doing, and invariably the clearance rates can be a guide as to where the direction of the market's going. So it could well be that we're seeing we'll see a flattening of the market and a slight rise, bearing in mind the auctions make up a minority of sales, not the majority. But it's certainly quite often has been the leader in terms of looking at where the market's trending. When it comes off, the auction clearance rates drop. When it starts to improve, they go up. So we might be in that pattern at the moment there, Kevin. Yeah.
Hey, Geoff, always great talking to you, my friend. We'll come back on Friday with Geoff White from CoreLogic, and we'll give you a complete wrap, the biggest wrap on all of the auctions and the final clearance rates. That'll be on Friday, so watch out for that show. Geoff, all the best. Have a great week, my friend, and look forward to talking to you on Friday.
You too, Kevin. Have a great week.
Mate,
thank you.
Don't get stung today, okay? Just watch out for those pranks.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, good on you, mate. See you later.
Catch you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Evening, Clara. Home, please.
David, what's on your mind?
I was just thinking of a different time is all. It was a time when I used to sit up there, you know. Driving wasn't just about being taken from place to place and going somewhere. Feeling something along the way.
Please, David, you should relax.
I'm afraid that's just the problem.
David, where are you going? David? David?